Okay, American Idol fans, we're here today to talk about season 16 of American Idol, the very first season on ABC. I'm Marcus James Dixon, and this is Denton Davison. Denton, we're down to the top 24 of American Idol. We have 12 girls, we have 12 guys. Pick one from each group. Who do you think could actually win this thing?
I think with the way the edits have gone so far, Journey is looking very strong on the women's side. So she's probably my favorite girl at this point. On the guys' side, it's a little more equal. I really think it's a girls' season. But Michael T. Is it T. Woodard? He's just got a fun personality. He sings unconventional songs. In the last round, he sang a song from Cabaret, and nobody kind of expected it. So I think he just makes fun choices, and he's got a great personality. So I think Michael Woodard and Journey could both be strong contenders.
I love both of those two. Michael J. Woodard, I think it is. When he sang that, what was that song from Cabaret? Maybe this time.
Maybe this time.
When he sang that during that little showcase round, that was probably my favorite song of the whole season so far. And then Journey taking on The Greatest Showman last night. That was also like a really big wow moment. I think those two could win. I also think for girls, Amelia Hammer Harris could win. She's the one with the famous father who wrote a bunch of songs in the 60s and 70s. And then my favorite audition of all of the auditions was Marcio Donaldson. He's the guy who took in his sister's baby, and when I was watching the audition, I was starting to tear up. This was so emotional, and I'm like, please be a good singer. Please be a good singer. And he is, and now he's in the top 24.
Yeah, I agree. I think Amelia is so cool. She's got her own style going on. And she's not the big belter like a lot of people who can win the show. But she's just so unique that she can put her own spin on things. And Marcio was definitely kind of the top story, or one of the top stories of the auditions. And I like him a lot. I don't know if he can win. I think he's the most likable, but I haven't seen him pull off like a wow vocal yet. So I think he has some work to do. And when they were naming the top 24, they were just toying with people, because when they brought him and Dennis Lorenzo out at the end together, and every year it's kind of like, all right, one of you stays and one of you goes. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, you can't get rid of Marcio. But then they're like, oh, you're both staying. There's 2 spots left. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah, that was a good twist. But you think a woman's going to win this season, right?
I do think a woman's going to win. I think they're a little bit stronger. I think they have a little bit more personality. But once you get to the live shows, everything can change. I mean, there's always people that didn't start out as noticeable, and then they rise to the occasion. And there's also people that might have been boring in the auditions that are just safe enough that people like them. Mm-hmm. Like, I think Caleb Lee Hutchinson isn't exciting or isn't one of my favorites necessarily, but there's just such a strong country vote in these things that I think someone like him could go really far in the competition.
What about some of the other people we haven't mentioned? There's Katy Turner, who, love her or hate her, I personally love her. She's quirky. She's different. I don't think they've ever had anyone like her on the show. I don't think any reality show ever has had somebody like Katy on the show.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely stands out. The first couple episodes, I was like, oh my gosh. I couldn't tell if she was real or not. Like, I didn't know if it was an act, but the further along it went, I was like, oh no, I think she's real. Mm-hmm. She's grown on me. What's interesting about her is in her last performance, like, I think her quirkiness can kind of take away from her, because she's actually a really good singer. I think she has done some great performances. So I think she should watch it a little bit, because I think people should know her for her talent. And I don't know if they do right now.
And then Ada Vox. We have to talk about Ada Vox. She is every time she performs, she just blows me away. And this is someone who was on the show, I think 5 years ago, as a male singer, and now she's a drag queen. But the show is actually classifying Ada Vox as a man. She's one of the 12 top men, as opposed to one of the 12 top women.
Yeah, and Ada has a great voice, and I love that it's just kind of RuPaul's Drag Race meets American Idol. I think Ada could be one of the most entertaining people to watch. I'm concerned because when they told Ada that he was making the top 24, he showed up dressed as his regular self. And Katy was like, do you feel like you'd be comfortable performing like this? And I don't want them to pull that away from the show. I don't want them to think it's his authentic self to be a man, so that's how he should go on stage. I mean, no, like Katy Perry doesn't go on stage as her authentic self. She dresses insane. So like Lady Gaga is not on there as herself. So, I mean, to say you can't be a drag queen and be yourself is ridiculous to me. So I hope they don't try to pull that from the show, because I think it's one of the most entertaining parts of it.
I agree. Who else should we talk about as a potential winner? I'm looking through the list here. I like Effie Passero a lot. She's so original, so unique.
Yeah, Effie's got a great voice. I think Maddie Poppy, I think it's Poppy or Pope.
Yeah, I think Poppy, yeah.
She's got a great kind of singer-songwriter vibe. And she didn't get a ton of highlights, but from what I have seen, I think she could be a standout. And I think Layla Spring is probably the best hope for country women.
I like her sister Dixie. I can't wait to see Dixie on the show in 5-6 seasons.
Yeah.
And then Mara Justine, I think this is the 15-year-old girl, right?
Yes.
She blew me away during the showcase round. She has a voice like a 35-year-old, not a 15-year-old.
Yeah. She's the one Katy Perry told had a little too much frosting in her performances, which I thought was hilarious because I think Katy Perry is one of the most trusted pop stars that there are. So, I mean, for Katy Perry to tell someone to tone it down, I thought was pretty hilarious.
Right. I think she told her that she flips her hair too.
Yeah.
Interesting critique. Before we talk about the judges, is there anyone else you wanted to kind of single out as one of your favorites?
I mean, I think we hit it. I think there's I think Cade Foner as kind of the rock guy. He's in his own lane. So I think he has potential to kind of coast on being unique and not a pop or country or R&B singer. I think he might be a little underrated right now.
Yeah, I like him a lot. We haven't had a rock winner in a long time, right? I mean, it's usually just a guy with a guitar singing songs with Scotty McCreery or Chris Allen.
Nick Frangiati was kind of rock, but he was very kind of like, he was more like Nickelback kind of rock. He wasn't like slaying a guitar.
Caleb Johnson,
he was more of a rock singer. So, but yeah, Kate could go pretty far.
Okay, so what do you think of Katy Perry as a judge? She's very, very controversial. People either love her or hate her.
I think she's great. I think she's fun, and they need something. I mean, it would be so boring without her. So I think she's fun. I think people like to blow every little thing out of proportion. So anything that makes a headline or makes a controversy, they're going to report on it. So, but I think she's fun. I think she gives negative feedback, which I like. So I don't like it when coaches are always to say, "Oh, it's great," but then they eliminate them. So you don't even know why they're eliminated if they're so great. So I like that she has an honest opinion.
Yeah, I didn't know much about Katy Perry as a person. I mean, I knew her music, of course, but her personality is just so perfect for a reality show. I kind of want her to have her own, VH1 celeb reality show where it follows her in her personal life, because I'm so interested in this person that I didn't really know much about. I love her on the show. I love the wig stuff with, I forgot his name, I'm sorry. I love when she kissed that contestant. Everything she does goes viral. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think she's a lot of fun. And I agree. A reality show would be fun. Her and her little dog, maybe.
And then Lionel Richie, I think he's the new Simon, only without being mean. He has this really great way of critiquing somebody, but still respecting them. And I just love that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I love Lionel Richie's music. I grew up, I mean, I'm a little old school in my music taste. And so he's one of my favorite songwriters that there are. It was kind of funny when they would name songs of his and Katy Perry would be like, "You wrote that?" She doesn't really know his music very well. But I think he's really good at shooting it straight and not being mean about it, but just saying you're not ready. And he has this kind of way of letting people down easily.
And then Luke Bryan, I feel like he's kind of getting the short shift. A lot of his critiques aren't being shown, maybe because he's just not as outlandish as Katy or as insightful as Lionel. He's kind of slipping through the cracks a little bit, but he's, from what we see of him, he's really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's just kind of the third person there, which is interesting. I would have thought that would have been maybe Lionel, but Luke is at this point maybe the least interesting. He jokes a lot, so him and Katy kind of have a banter that could be interesting to watch progress. The more they annoy each other, might be more fun to watch. But feedback wise, he doesn't get shown a lot.
Before the season started, I thought maybe Katy would be the third judge who wasn't shown a lot, because I remember when Britney Spears was on the X Factor and she had nothing to say worthwhile.
No.
So I was very pleasantly surprised when Katy actually, I think she's my favorite.
Yeah, Katy's the most fun. Britney on the X Factor, what that did was create thousands of GIFs. So I mean, it's everywhere for making every face. So I mean, that's what that did for the internet world, is make that a little more entertaining.
Is there anyone who didn't make the top 24 that you were really shocked by? Like
I was really sad for Maddie Zom. She was the last one let go. Her last performance wasn't that great though. So I mean, she probably maybe deserved to go home, but she was so likable, and she had that audition with her friend, and she's a special ed teacher, and she had kind of the most memorable runs through the audition process. And she's just so likable. It was so easy to feel bad for her when they let her go. So she's only 19, so she'll have chances maybe to come back.
Trevor Holmes didn't make it. That's the guy that Katy was in love with. And were you kind of getting... It did shock me too, especially because a few of the other guys I thought weren't as strong as Trevor. He had the looks and everything, but he was also a really good singer.
He was a good singer, and he is the total package. And just for the story, I thought they have to keep this going. Although I was getting kind of sick of it. So part of me was like, okay, well, at least that's over with.
I saw in your live blog, and by the way, Denton does these amazing live blogs every week for The Voice and for American Idol and a million other shows. But I think you mentioned that you were kind of getting sick of this flirtatious tension.
I was sick of it. It was all they talked about. And he's another person whose talent was probably lost in the whole process. I was also annoyed with the way he was let go, because Katy was kind of still flirting with him a little bit. And then she was like, "So you can't go through?" Like, it was almost a sarcastic, and he kind of looked at her like, "Are you kidding, or are you serious?" And that's how I felt. I was like, "Oh, she's kidding, and she's going to say he did go through." But then he didn't. And then I was like, wow, it just it was not a very sensitive way for him to go out, I didn't think.
Because they do that fake thing so often that I also thought they were faking him. He probably thought he was being faked as well. And then he's walking out. He's walking out without like a ticket or without, anything. And I'm like, oh, he really did go home.
Yeah, I was waiting for them to say, "Just kidding," but it didn't happen, and I felt a little bad for him.
There was another guy. I'm trying to find his name. He had auditioned a few years ago. Oh, Thaddeus.
Oh, Thaddeus Johnson. I felt bad for him too, because he really thought he was going to make it this year, and he's like, everything I've done, I think, just led to this moment, and my previous rejections, and he lost all this weight. and then he got rejected again, and that was a tough one to watch. And he's a better singer than a lot of the people that go through. But they want that diversity. So I mean, there's going to be better singers, but they're not a country singer or they're not a folk singer. So I mean, they had kind of this soul. They had their soul quota of soul singers. So maybe they just felt they wanted to go a different way. But I think he's a better singer than even some of those guys that went through.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was shocked. I was actually spoiled on that one. Someone had told me that he wasn't going through. I'm like, you're lying. There's no way. And then when it happened, I'm like, wow. Hopefully he comes back maybe in another 3 years. But
yeah, I think one other person I was shocked by. I can't remember her name. Anyway, she had long blonde hair and she played guitar and she had great auditions. But her name is slipping my mind. So.
All right. Well, anything else you wanted to add before we sign off here? I'm loving this season. I thought that I wouldn't because, you know, it's the first season without. Well, I guess I think they've had a Randy Jackson-less season before, right?
Yeah, the last few years it was Jennifer Lopez and Keith Urban and Harry Connick Jr. And that was a fun group. But I think this judging panel is good. And I'm excited for the live shows to get going and to see who really steps up in a live performance, because that's when everything could change when the pressure's on and we see who delivers. So it'll be more fun, I think, in the weeks coming up.
And once it does go live in a couple weeks here, people can go to goldderby.com and make their predictions for who they think is going to win, who will go home each week. And we're going to be giving out $100 gift cards each week. So once it goes live, come back to visit Gold Derby and make your predictions.
All right. Sounds good.